Welcome again, everybody, to another edition of Papa Bojo's Kitchen. This is part 2 of how to make smoked baby back ribs the Papa Bojo Kitchen's way. If you remember in part 1, where we left it off, we had prepped the ribs and we had seasoned them and we had put them in the refrigerator overnight. Now I've taken them out about an hour before I'm ready to smoke them, and I got my smoker up to temperature 225 degrees. We're going low and slow. And now when I look at the ribs, because now they're close to room temperature, there's a few bare spots from putting them in the fridge from where the rub is. So I'm going to add just a little bit more rub in those areas. I'm going to take it, I'm going to pat it down, get all that covered. And I'm going to roll them over, wipe my hands a little bit. I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Now we're going to take these and we're going to put them into the smoker. We got the ribs out at the smoker. I'm going to set it on top, and I use an electric smoker. Mine is a Masterbuilt, and there's a whole lot of discussion on whether or not you use electric or regular smoke. I've done them all. This is my favorite way of doing it. It comes with an automatic thermometer, and I'm going to insert the thermometer right into the thickest part of the rib. Try not to get close to the bone, but that's almost impossible. And what this is going to allow me to do is see when I get close to my cooking temperature, which is starting at 185. I want to pull these out anywhere between 185 and 200 degrees. That's my target. So as you can see, the smoker is smoking pretty well. We're going to check these at about 5 hours. We're going to keep them closed. We have the temperature set at 225. We're not going to touch them. At 5 hours, we're going to look at the temperature, and we'll be monitoring the temperature anyways to make sure it doesn't get to 185 or 200 degrees. But around 5 hours, depending upon the cut of the ribs and the temperature, that's when you need to start looking and checking. By checking, it's checking the temperature. If the temperature looks close, then I'm going to use the tong test. And what that is, you put the tongs right between the meat and you lift them up. And when they bend, if they break, they're really too overdone and they could be a little dry. So you want to take them out right when they bend and it looks like they're going to break. And that'll give you a nice chew off the bone. It comes clean off the bone, but you don't have to rip into it. So be back as soon as we know these things are about done, and then we'll take a look at them. So it's been a little over 5 hours. Let's take a look at what we got. They're looking good. Let's take the temperature here. Temperature there is about 185. Temperature here is 185. And 188. So they're good to take out because they're going to increase. And to double check, you see how the meat is pulled away from the bones? That's a good indicator. And now we have the tongs and we look and they're just about breaking there. So this is perfect to take them out right now. We're going to put them some foil over them and let them rest for about maybe 20 minutes. So the ribs have been resting for about 20 minutes. Time to take the foil off of them, and they're looking pretty good. Now it's time to cut them. Now here's a tip for you. Don't try cutting them when the bones are on the top side. Flip the slab over, and this is actually a fairly small slab. And then what you do is you go in between the bones. We're going to cut them right down the middle here, and you go right in between the bone, and you give yourself a cut. And look how nice and moist these are, my friends. You can see that moistness glimmer in there. That's a sign of a good rib. I'm going to cut one off here. And you should be able to see that the meat just pulls right off the bone clean. Now these are good ribs. They're juicy. You can taste that smoke flavor. And most importantly, they're tender and flavorful with that rub. You can use barbecue sauce if you want, but if you have the right rub, you don't ever need any barbecue sauce. So I want to thank you once again for coming and watching another edition of Papa Bojo's Kitchen. I hope you enjoy this recipe for perfect barbecue ribs. I mean, these nice smoked ribs are as good as you're going to get anywhere. And to be honest with you, I have yet to find a restaurant that can make ribs as good as I can for what I like. And it'll be the same for you once you spend some time and energy and learn how to make smoked ribs perfectly yourself. Now, I said you could make them in your oven, and you can. You set your temperature to 225. And if you want, in the mustard, you can add a little bit of liquid smoke. Look that up on the internet, and you can add a few drops of that into your mustard and rub that in, and that'll add some smokiness flavor to your meat. And then when you put them in the oven, you bake them at 225 uncovered, put them on some foil, and just leave them there for about 5 hours. And then you do like I do, you start checking around the 5-hour mark with your thermometer to see if you reach that 185 temperature. And why is 185 important? Because as the ribs rest for 15 to 20 minutes, they're going to go up at least 5 degrees, if not more. And it's between that 185 and 190 where the collagen and all that muscle tissue gets broken down and allows the meat to pull easily away from the bone. Again, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Papa Bojo's Kitchen. I hope you come and watch other editions as I put them out there. And once again, bon appetito, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.